Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 323 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly news, culture, and gaming podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, and I'm joined this week. I was going to call you like the Stormtrooper. By the Stormtrooper, David Moody. Yeah. Just slowly tilt back.
I should just do this.
That works. Have you ever lowered or raised that desk and made the sound effect like while you've been doing it?
It makes sound No, I have not. No. It's Monday, everybody.
It's Monday.
You know what that means.
It's Monday.
Howdly doodly do.
We survived.
I did it backwards, but who cares?
Howdly doodly do. Well, I do say, in the thing, you watch the whole podcast backwards. We should just do a podcast backwards. Really fuck with people's heads.
You should just flip when you edit it. You should just flip it. Flip the words. There'll be a setting where you'll be able to just flip it and make it literally sound going backwards.
Nice. That sounds.
There's got to be a way.
There's got to be a way. I'm learning how to put a timer in a video right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe if I just what if I just flip the image and it's just upside down? Would that work? Oh.
Well, if a Red Dwarf 80s episode can gladly do an episode called Backwards, where the words are backwards, so can the 21st fucking century software that you use to edit this thing can do it as well.
It's not about the software sometimes, it's about the user.
That's true. Yeah.
It took me a year and a half to learn how to do a slow zoom. And even then, that was just so I could slow zoom on your face doing this. That was a good video. The Among Us days, those were good days.
They were good days.
They were good days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
All right. Sunday's been a bad day today. I'm not gonna lie. It's been
sucks.
I watched the Cyberpunk show.
Edgerunners. Yeah, Edgerunners.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
How's that?
I really liked it. I think it falls off a little bit at the end, just a teeny bit.
Okay.
But I think the first 3 episodes are pretty solid. Like they lay all the groundwork, especially with the main character. You get to know him literally within a lot happens within the first 15 minutes of the first episode, and these are only 24, 25-minute episodes.
Sure.
So I'm like, they got a lot laid within the first 15 minutes, and I was just like, I'm really liking this. The animation's really beautiful. It's a very unique style. It's a very cyberpunk-ish style, and it really works, and I really did enjoy it overall by the end.
That's awesome. Love to enjoy things.
Yeah. That's what you want at the end of the
day. You want to just sit back and enjoy the things that we put in front of our faces.
Much, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also watched something else. I have to remember this one.
Ooh.
It's just a long title, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Intergalactic. Another animated film on Netflix.
Sure.
The animation is... The first thing that drew me to this film was the animation style. It's breathtaking. It is a beautiful animation style. And it is about a young black man who's just moved to New York, starting a new job, and it's a romantic film. It's a romantic movie, but there's more to it as well, and it's beautiful. It's very well done. I absolutely really loved the movie. I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah,
really connected with the characters. Really, it's like an hour. It's a quick movie. It's like 90 minutes. And they get everything in that they needed to get in.
Love a good hour and a half movie. I've seen.
It didn't. What's the word? It didn't drag. It didn't do any of that, and it didn't. I literally felt like that was a good 90 minutes. I am not disappointed that I wasted 90 minutes there. I am very happy and satisfied.
What one could say, you didn't waste your 90 minutes because you had a good time.
That's true. Yeah, that's the thing about it. Yeah, very good performances by the voice actors, and yeah, beautiful animation. Animation was I'm a sucker for beautiful animation, and like.
You know me. Sometimes I follow or even buy games just because the art style is nice. So I'm not going to judge you on that.
Like I said, the thing that drew to me was literally just like, I like the look of that picture. Boom, let's have a look at the trailer. I like the trailer's good as well.
I don't know if was it you or was it somebody else. I'm sure it was on this podcast sometime this year saying like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover thing. Like, no, judge a book by its cover. Someone put a lot of work into that cover.
I don't think that was me.
I definitely remember saying it because I thought it when you said the. It's like, oh hell no! Judge a book by its cover. Judge a movie by its art style. Like it's all part of the artistic process. Not process, but that's.
Process, choice. Shebang. Yeah.
Choice, exactly. Like you see a book with a great cover on it, fucking buy that book. Support the illustrator. Even if the book's not very good, you've supported cool art anyway. That's cool, man. That's cool. I ate too much food today. It's really sitting like a lead ball. Right now, I'm just like, I could feel my stomach.
You definitely overate.
Oh, definitely.
You can feel your stomach. You just like,
it was, yeah, I can feel
like
it.
this.
I'm just like, oh, damn. Like, I don't have any buttons on my pants, so like, it's not gonna like.
Be honest. How many buttons have you undone on your pants?
Stretchy pants, matey. Stretchy pants. Like, I know what I'm about.
But how low are those pants? Is the stretchy part over your belly, or have you put it underneath the belly so to let the belly out a little bit more?
So right now, they're above the belly because in case I like stand up or something, because my top and my belly, like it wouldn't quite reach if it was further down. As for earlier, like say like 20 minutes ago, I don't have to answer that question.
I respect that.
Was I lying down with my eyes closed?
Caressing the belly.
just going,
Come on, digest a little bit.
Get down. It was a family meal, right? So we went to a pub nearby. I haven't been to a pub like for a pub lunch for like I want to say like years. It might be. So it was an interesting experience.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I love going to the pub. So
Me too.
Going for pub food, yeah. Like there was a place like where I was when I was living in the northeast. Me and the missus went to all the time around our area, called the Old Mill. Oh, beautiful! Nice. They did the best vegetarian pie I've ever had. Ever, it was beautiful. It's the thing I always had there as well.
Awesome. Yeah. You gotta be consistent with the things that you get. Like it's very like if you only go to a pub, like rarely. Right, or like even like say once a month or something. Like it's like that's like a big chunk of investment to waste on potentially experimenting on something, which might not be good. Like I got a burger, right? Like and they got a carvery, which is fair. That's a traditional like Sunday, right? Sunday afternoon. We're there. Get a carvery.
I'm a traditional. Yeah. I go Sunday lunch for the most part.
I wasn't feeling the carvery, so I got a burger, and I didn't fully comprehend what I was getting when I ordered this burger because it was like
from a pub, you never do.
No, so it was like it was the bottom option where it was like, you know, it's got extra stuff on it, right? And this burger came, and for starters, I bit the stick because I gotta leave the stick in for a bit, eat around it to keep the burger intact while I was eating it. It was 2 burger pies, and then onion rings, barbecue sauce, and bacon and cheese, and then there was mushrooms like between the 2 burger burgers. And then there was
These will be small mushrooms. They'll be
no,
big
they
ones,
were
won't
like button mushrooms. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you could see like as you get into the burger, like the burgers were like that. Like they weren't like flat on top of each other like that because of the mushrooms that were jammed in the middle of it. There was a tomato, but I took that out because I don't like tomatoes, and lettuce. But I left the lettuce on because lettuce is fine. But there was an egg on top of it.
God.
And
This sounds like my old version of the heart attack sandwich.
yeah, right. And I was like, okay, these are all an interesting combination, but I feel like what the pub has done here is they've taken two burger ideas and smushed them together, right? Because I'll tell you what, barbecue sauce, an egg yolk.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting combination that I'm probably not going to try again. Yeah. And then it's this place that does huge cakes, so you can like spend a $5 to get a gigantic cake slice. I've taken a picture of it because I can't do it just the size of this cake slice justice by just describing it. So I'm gonna put that on Instagram. It's fucking huge, and I've had like, so it's like a tiered cake, right?
Yeah.
And I've had like the top
tier,
the top third of it. When I got home, I had that, which I think is what's caused the gastric distress, where I'm lying on the bed going, ah.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
But like, it was there. I told myself as well, I'm not going to start eating the cake until I've done the podcast. But then I was just sitting there and I was watching things on YouTube, and all I was thinking about was, there's a cake downstairs, there's a cake downstairs.
You could have texted me. We could have done it earlier. You could have texted me, say, "Yo, do you want to start early so I can get cake?"
And I looked at the time. I looked at the time, and it was like 6:30, something like that. And I just went, "It'll be fine. I'll have some cake now."
I'm now regretting that. Was it good?
Yeah. So it was. What was it called? It had a weird punny name. Like, I don't remember what the punny name was, but it's basically it's vanilla sponge cake and strawberry frosting, and then it's got the outer, like the side, the frosting on the side that glues the whole cake together. That's strawberry as well, but it's got like the sprinkles on it, hundreds and thousands. And it's basically the frosting on the top and in the middle, like, because there's like two more bits in the middle. It's so thick that it is just someone has made 3 cakes, pop them on top of each other, and then just spread the frosting around the side to like glue the whole thing together.
It sounds like what everyone does these days.
Yeah. It's what the worst part is though? I went to this pub, did the thing, blah blah blah, did the thing. Standing at the cake, because you have to go to the cake counter. It's a whole counter, and you go there and you're like looking at the cakes, and then a delivery man walked in, and got like some cakes, and then left, and I was like,
they deliver.
They deliver these cakes. they deliver these cakes, and then I went on.
Oh no!
I went on Just Eat, and I was like, they deliver these cakes, and I'm within the delivery catchment area.
Sounds about right, Amy. Sounds about right.
There is going to be a lot of cake in my future. Hopefully.
Oh, Amy.
I'm going to eat so much cake.
Not too much, hopefully.
Undoubtedly too much. Is there any other way to eat cake? Does anyone eat cake in moderation? Except when you're at a kid's birthday party and you get those shitty little slices. That's not enough. Like, you just like, it's like a little wafer of ham. Like, you can see through it. Because you got to feed like 60 people with this one little cake. Bit uncomfortable, but we'll manage. It's fine.
You have no choice to.
I got to. I'm here now.
You are here.
Unless I just call Keith and like, Keith, come around my house a sec, and then we'll just swap partway through. But he'll be here doing the podcast with you. But because this is my bed, I'll just be here. in the
You know
background.
Keith is avoiding me. Aren't you, Keith? Aren't you?
Look, man, like
TikTok, Keith. TikTok.
It has been pointed out to him at some point in the past, and we've all taken a break from D&D, but like, it has been pointed out to him in the past that, and
Moody's
I know
an impatient twat.
I know, yeah. I know he listens to this, so I'm trying to be delicate with what I'm about to say, but like he needs to contact you. I'm not a conduit for his messages.
That is fair.
Because
fair.
you
I
can't,
don't tell you to message you, I just keep going.
You just message him through the fucking podcast because you know he
I've
listens to
even called him out.
You're just like, yo boy, where's my D&D invite, man? And I'm like sitting here going, I'm in the middle. Oh, this is not. Oh no.
This is not the sandwich I want to be in the middle of.
This is no comment. We'll see what happens. Elfie's back from Africa. She went to Africa. We didn't play D&D for a while. She came back. She nearly got trampled by an elephant or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, we got like one update from her, and she was like, "I'm having a great time. I nearly got trampled, and then something else bad happened." And then that was the last we heard.
Having a great time. Almost got trampled by elephant.
Having a
Still
great
alive.
time. Almost died. Might not have been an elephant. I don't know. I think she almost got trampled by something. But you know what my memory's like. It just fills in the blanks where it wants.
You hear trampled, you automatically think elephant. I won't lie, I boys would have thought the same as well. So
it could have been almost got run over by a car, but my brain just went, she's in Africa going on safari, so clearly it was an elephant. Mm-hmm. No, Amy, it was a Range Rover.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or rhinoceros.
Or a zebra.
A zebra. Well, those bastards are herd of wildebeest.
Or a herd of wildebeest. That sounds like something that would happen in D&D.
Didn't work out well for Mufasa. Yes, the fall might have done more damage, but who knows?
I mean, hey, you know what?
Not the fall, the
impact. The impact.
the impact.
But the wildebeest didn't help. Let's be fair.
There's no doubt about it. The wildebeest did not help.
Stampeding wildebeest.
Neither did Scar, I won't lie.
In one sense, he helped. He helped him down.
But he wanted to be helped up.
Up, down, like we all make mistakes.
That is true. For all we know, when this episode goes out, the words are backwards.
The words are backwards and nobody knows what's going on, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, typical episode of Words About Games.
The hosts never know what's going on. Some of the commenters seem to think they know what's going on. So I just, some people out there who wander into one episode for 5 minutes to leave a comment on the YouTube seem to have more of an understanding about this podcast than me or you. So we're doing something right.
We're doing something right.
We're doing something right. The Words About Games podcast motto for 2022. Should we start the show? Let's start the show. I feel like we should start the show. I feel like I've reviewed a cheeseburger. I feel like it's been a good opening to a podcast. But this isn't the Words About Cheeseburgers podcast. It
could be though.
It could easily be. I'd start a podcast going around reviewing burgers. Like I could do it.
Good people.
Burgers and cake. Classic combination. But this is the Words About Games podcast. Every Monday you can get a video version of the show on youtube.com/words about games UK. or an audio version on a variety of platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. There are timestamps in the description wherever you choose to get your podcast, so you can see what we've been chatting about. You can skip around, or you can watch the whole podcast backwards if you like. And this week, maybe that means you're watching the whole podcast forwards. Who knows? We're just happy that you're here. Lastly, if you'd like to support the show or our content directly, head over to coffee.com/wordsaboutgames and buy us a little coffee. Do you drink coffee?
Yes.
You do drink coffee, but I don't drink coffee, but Moody does. So, we'll see how that checks out.
Starbucks, soya latte, the only thing.
Nice. I've started having oat milk when I'm out. Like when I'm buying like coffee, not coffee, but when I'm buying like hot chocolates and stuff from Costa and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's quite nice.
I used to, but then I landed on soy milk. It's just too sweet for me. Oat milk.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think that like oat milk would if I was drinking tea, it would probably be too sweet. But when I'm usually buying something from like Costa, or I'm buying hot chocolate, so the sweetness isn't really an issue because the whole drink is sweet, and then it's usually topped off by whipped cream. I turn hot chocolates into puddings. That's what I do. Lastly, if you want to hang out with us while we play some games, head over to twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. I don't know what we're streaming this week, but last week was the week of chaos. It was carnage. It was brew. I took a chill beer making brewing game, Brewmaster, and turned it into fucking a disaster. And then it was Phasmophobia, which is always carnage when I'm in the driving seat. And I was in the driving seat.
Yes, you were.
I was. This week, who knows? I don't know. We'll do some stuff. We'll stream some games. Who knows what they'll be. It's not like new releases coming out this week for me to try out, so...
Well, I've just bought on Steam...
You bought a new game?
We Are FTK.
Oh, the music game.
Yeah.
That's literally on my list for of games I want to buy. So that's awesome, because now I don't have to buy it.
Yeah. The missus said, yes, you can spend some money.
Yay!
Thank you. Moody got his allowance.
Moody got his pocket money. He bought a video game with it. I'll text Sophia in a bit and I'll thank her for the game.
Then she'll come in and say, why did you buy Amy the game?
That's how this works, baby. Moody is the proud owner of Brewmaster because I bought it on Steam. That's how this all works.
That's true. That's true.
Hey.
That's how the Force works.
That's how.
Amy, have you just a quick before we get into it? Have you seen Lower Decks yet?
Yes. I watched it yesterday.
Oh, that was.
I figured Armin Shimmerman was going to turn up as Quark.
And Kira.
I was very surprised
yeah.
when anyone else turned up, and it was Kira, and I was like, "This is amazing." And then they're just arguing in the background the entire time. Such a Lower Decks thing.
I was a little disappointed that we didn't see Bashir or Dax, but I could also understand it at the same time.
Yeah, it's like you got to get people back and together, and who knows? Maybe they're keeping them for the DS9 revival that they're going to announce when Picard's finished, because I feel like we need one of those.
Did you ever see the DS9 documentary?
I did.
Yeah,
4 times.
And what they were talking. I've watched it about that time. And them thinking about what a next season would start like and everything. I don't like how it starts.
Yeah, they can't do that now. But
I wouldn't have wanted them to do it even if sadly the actor was still alive.
Yeah. No, it was such a good documentary though, and it is true, right? Like people talk about Deep Space Nine. Fuck it, we're doing this. People that talk, I'll put a Star Trek chapter in the thing. People talk about Deep Space Nine like it's like the most. But everybody loves Deep Space Nine, but when it came out, everyone hated it, because it wasn't Star Trek.
Yeah, it's the black sheep of the Star Trek shows.
It only found an audience because it was on Netflix, and people could binge it, which it turns out was the best way to watch Deep Space Nine, was to binge it. Because of how like that show works compared to like Voyager and the Next Generation and stuff. So it found an audience, and it found like the love that it deserved, because it's fucking incredible. It just took some time.
Yeah, I think season 6 is one of the best completed seasons of Star Trek.
I can't disagree with that.
It's banger after the first like 7 episodes are just oh my god, banger after banger after banger after banger. And then they kind of topped it off again with obviously the finale where it was like a 8-episode arc for the finale of the show.
It was 9. It came up on Netflix as like a 9-part. And I always thought that was fucking baller. I was like, damn.
It was amazing. And that's the thing that's why I think I've gravitated so much more to it, because more than I ever did with Generations, more than I ever did with Voyager. Voyager had so much potential.
What if we guys, I've got a great idea. What if we do the Next Generation again? Genius, brilliant, 10 out of 10. Like, and I'm saying this as someone who likes Voyager.
I enjoy Voyager as well. I don't deny that. But when you look, when I was a kid, I was just like, awesome, brilliant, new Star Trek show. Let's get into it, doing the Delta Quadrant, whole potential here and everything like that. And then, but I also didn't really think too much about it at the same time when it comes to the show. Now, as I'm older, I obviously a little bit pay more attention a lot more than I did. And then it was just like,
now the curse of adulthood.
So much potential, Chakotay.
He did
so much, and he knows it himself. He's the actors himself discussed it on many occasions. But isn't he back for Prodigy?
He's in Prodigy, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been in Prodigy. Prodigy's good. I like Prodigy. That's coming back after Lower Decks. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think I might crack that one open. I wasn't too sure about the first 2 episodes. And
it's an easy watch. Yeah. And it's like, for Prodigy, I found that, because I watched it in like 2 sittings. So like I watched the first few and then I watched the last, because there's only 10 episodes. And I found that like the first few episodes were okay, but then like it starts getting better and better, and like it tells, like that first season is like one complete story. Like from beginning to end. When you get to the end of the season, it's just all one thing. Like you can watch the whole thing as like a story arc, and then it sets up the next story arc. And it's just nice to have sassy Captain Janeway back. I'm
enjoying what I have seen certain things about Prodigy, and I've enjoyed just thinking, so they're bringing that ship back. Fascinating. Okay. Oh, and she's there.
There's the story arc that starts in season 1, and I don't want to say like it begins and ends, because there's a mystery in Prodigy that it's not going to get resolved for a long time. Like that's probably going to be like the overarching plot of the series.
Hopefully a long time.
They've made like 50 episodes, I think.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. They're making because they did season 1 part 1, which is the first 10, and I remember reading the creator was talking about doing the next 40 like all at once. Like, I think it's 50. I think they've done I think it's gonna be like 50 episodes.
50 episode arc. That's kind of sexy. That I'm not gonna lie. If they nail it, I think so.
Well, every like 10 episodes, it'll be like split like into one storyline that feeds into the overall, like the bigger arc, while also being its own storyline, which is that's just lovely. That's just lovely TV. That's one really good way to do TV.
I agree with it there. I do.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But should we segue?
Let's segue into what this podcast is about.
Engage warp engines 30 minutes into the podcast and hit it.
Let's fly.
Warp me.
What me?
What me? E3 is returning in June 2023 with a new twist. This is from me. I wrote this with bullet points, not from a news website. And it says that E3 2023 will be back in 2023. Fucking hell, someone really should have copy edited me. Beginning on June 11th. June 11th to 12th will be for digital showcases from E3 partners. June 13th to 15th are called E3 Business Days, concentrating on industry professionals and gaming media. And June 15th to 16th are called E3 Gamer Days and will take place in a separate hall and be a more traditional expo open to the public. The ESA is partnered with ReadPop, organisers of PAX, New York Comic Con, Star Wars Celebration, and more.
So the 15th is going to have the business days and the first day of the gamers days.
Yeah, but they're in separate places. Like, so the 13th to the 15th is probably like focused on business stuff only. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if like business stuff still continues on the 16th as well, because why not? Sure. Everybody's there, so you might as well.
True. Well, no, this is good to hear. Like, they have a plan, and they've set it out to basically how we want it to be. Like, basically a nice separate section of digital events here. So the 11th is the Sunday. Xbox will slide right in there.
Just
even if they are there, or even though if they are not there or not, they will still slide right in. Yeah. Same goes for like EA if they do actually do something. Ubisoft and etc. Obviously, the big number question is, will Sony return and everything? They don't have to. It would be amazing if they did. We would love them to be, because like we all remember the bangers from Sony a few years from 2013 onwards. There was a lot of just bangers, and I know a lot of people like with their last E3 was just like, oh my god, that's just because of that giant spaced out gap that just was just like, why are you doing that? But if you just cut that part out, you go from The Last of Us to fucking Ghost of Tsushima, wasn't it? Yes. And then they show you Resident Evil 2 and bang and more banger after banger. And it was just like really well done and everything. But that's sadly everyone remembers the 30-minute gap for some weird reason. They hark on about that 30-minute gap everywhere.
That 30-minute gap, I got pissed off. Not because they had a gap. I think it was 10 minutes. Because they had the barn for the Last of Us thing, and then they moved everybody into the main hall, which was like where they did the rest of the show from, and I was like fucking pissed off because everybody was focusing on that. And like you say, like we saw The Last of Us Part 2, we saw Ghost of Tsushima, we saw Resident Evil 2 for the first time, Control got revealed for the first time, like it was a banger of a fucking show, and everybody was like, oh, what about this 10-minute gap where they talked about Call of Duty? And it's just like, okay, like, so it had a lull. The rest of the show was awesome.
It really was, yeah. And then they go to the business days where they're allowing all the developers to obviously hopefully find proper finance and publishers and everything. And then the gamers and all that can come in a separate place and go over and do their own thing there, which is fantastic. That's what we wanted to hear. Hearing like when they first were allowing non-media and business people in to come into to E3, I was just like, oh my god, it was apparently already packed before the audience came in.
Sure.
So you throw in the audience, it's just I'm just like, oh god, no, that's not gonna end well. Now to know they're gonna have a separate arena, that's brilliant.
Yeah, like we saw like the. Because we obviously watch E3 like every year, like and cover it. Watch the coverage. Sorry, we watch the coverage, not we cover it. And like we could see the friction that was happening, because I think it was like 2 years before the pandemic where they were letting non-media and developers in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And like you could see the friction that it wasn't quite working. Like gamers weren't having the greatest of experiences. But neither was like the people who were trying to work E3 weren't having great experiences. Like it was just like clashing like that. And honestly, like this is a great solution. Like you get IGN and GameSpot and Twitch and everybody else in on their business days, and you do the E3 show like you normally do like you did before, after all the partner stuff is concluded, and you get the developers in to talk about games, and you show off cool games, show off demos, and talk about gameplay, and then you got the gamer days, so like people who want to go to E3 but aren't working E3, like can go and they can check out some fucking awesome games, because E3 will have more demos than any other show, like in at least in North America, because that's how E3 works. Like E3 will never die, Moody. Its death.
About the times we've talked about it, yeah.
Its death has been proclaimed multiple times throughout history, and it always comes back. And it comes back to a thing I heard on. I was watching a NoClip documentary. Weirdly enough, on the day they announced this about E3, because I've been doing my binge through their content. And like it says, E3 survives because people want it to survive. Like,
yeah,
people want E3 because E3 is just like such a cool time if you're a fan of games to the level where you're aware of its existence and what it is. I love E3. I always have.
E3, like I said, I've said on many occasions, I didn't know anything about E3 until 2013.
So your introduction to E3 was, this is how you share a game on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And poor Phil Spencer dying inside when he revealed the price.
Yeah. It's $429.99 because we've got the stupid Kinect that comes with it. And you know what?
It's $500.
I liked the Kinect. I'm not going to say it. I've said it before because I bought one of the models with the Kinect before they took it out of the box. And that was pretty handy.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of really good games on the Kinect. But like, was I that bothered when? Because once they took it out of the box, that was it. Kinect was done. No one was going to support it. And I wasn't that bothered when they stopped supporting it. But it was nice for a time to just be able to say Xbox on and my Xbox return on.
Just didn't do what they advertised it to do.
It never could,
yeah. So if they just advertised it saying, "Oh, you can speak to the Xbox," that's fine. It's like me speaking to my Amazon Cubes here. Alexa, turn the TV on. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you wanting the Xbox thing to just show body movements and to be keeping up with your movements. And,
and there was like
never doing that.
There was like one or two games that did that really, really well, and then there was a lot of games that didn't. Like that period of time, 2013 to like 2016, 2017 was really weird, where it was like the Kinect was obviously a great piece of hardware that was before its time, and PlayStation VR came out, but it came out with that shitty camera and those shitty controllers that, like, this is a good piece of kit, but you've married it up to these abominations that don't work properly.
3 controllers.
Yeah, these don't work properly on PlayStation 3. And now it's supposed to be like one-to-one with your hand, and it was like, and that's like, now we're getting a revision of that. It was a weird time for like weird experiments.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, it's like, but the thing is, the 2013 Xbox conference, I really enjoyed. I had a lot of fun. It just obviously got a lot. It hurt itself when it revealed its price, and then obviously PlayStation KO'd them at the end when they did their conference and everything, and it was just like,
oh yeah, big style. Like PlayStation had them as soon as they announced the price. PlayStation had them by the neck. That was it. Wasn't really a competition anymore. Yeah. I'm just looking at the games for
2013. Well, they revealed Kingdom Hearts. They revealed Final Fantasy 15. Re-revealed Final Fantasy 15, should I say?
2013. Xbox One. Metal Gear Solid 5. Wow. Titanfall. Rest in peace. I like how it's just got Halo for Xbox One. I remember that trailer. Why is the Master Chief wearing a poncho in the desert? He's in power armor.
And then you don't even play as him in the game.
Yeah, basically. You're never in a desert either. I remember that trailer. But no, it's awesome. I love this for E3. Like, I'm actually like excited. Like, after what we just got, which I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say I'm not really a surprise that I wasn't a fan of Summer Gaming Fest. Well, Summer Games Fest, yeah, like that we just got. And like,
Gamescom thing.
Like, I wasn't really I'm excited for summer 2023 now. Whereas like before, I was like, I know there's going to be some cool stuff, Tribeca and Day of the Devs, but the thought of Jeff Keighley's show next year being the thing, it was like, I don't even know if I want to do that. Like, because we did a whole reaction to it, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to do that again next year. But if E3's back, baby.
I have this feeling they're going to be like, we can't let Jeff outdo us. We have to get the big games, and we have to be the ones to reveal them, blah, blah, blah type of thing. So I think they're going to be spending a little bit of money.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's someone whose job at the ESA right now is filling those sacks of cash with dollar signs on them. He's filling a lot of those to, like, just throw it, like, PlayStation or Nintendo, and just say, like, come back to the show floor, please, we need you. And that's cool. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see everybody come back together. Like, E3 still did okay when it got a bit fragmented and we didn't have a PlayStation thing, and EA was down the street and Microsoft was across the street. But, like, if we can just get everybody back together again and just have, like, a big fucking cool E3 again, that'd be sick. I'd love that.
Be sick. There's no doubt about it.
But I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully this means I also get my 3 days of like all day E3 coverage back, because I missed that this summer. I kind of got it with Gamescom, like that kind of happened, but like I need that after bit where I just get to sit and watch developers talk about games for 3 days.
Yeah.
That's my E3. I remember that happened in 20 whatever it was with Resident Evil 2. Like, watched all the conferences and did all the stuff, and then like the first thing that was on, I think it was PlayStation's YouTube channel on the day, was like they were talking about Resident Evil 2. So I was like looking at it, because it was only like a short trailer, right? That basically said this exists. But like you turn on the PlayStation YouTube channel, first thing on like Tuesday when all the live streams kicked off, and I was watching like the game. I was seeing the game being played, and I was like, holy shit. What have they done to this? This looks amazing. This looks terrifying. Resident Evil 2 is not a terrifying game. Why does this look terrifying? I was probably losing my mind for a bit there about it.
Yeah, it was amazing. There's no doubt about
it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Remember Project Spark? Sorry, I've just looked at the lineup for Xbox again. I remember Project Spark.
Yeah.
I'd love to say whatever happened to that, but I know exactly what happened to that.
Like, PlayStation had something from Capcom, a night game.
Deep Down. Deep Down,
yeah. That wherever that went.
Where it went deep down.
It went deep.
It went too deep.
Sure.
Too deep down.
It's like the dwarfs.
They dug too deep.
They dug too deep.
Well, that's the thing. Swords are no more use. Yeah, the guy was clearly had a sword, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Shield
helped a little bit.
Like, I'd always love to know like what kind of game that was supposed to be.
Well, I think Capcom kind of still asking that.
Yeah, maybe they're still working on it. Maybe it's like somewhere in Capcom there's like a small team like dedicated to making the meme a reality.
The reality.
It is a meme at this point. I mean, it took us 10 years to get Last Guardian. So if Deep Down gets re-revealed next year.
And how many years did it take to get Resident Evil 15? Excuse me.
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah,
also,
why did I say Resident Evil?
I don't know.
Final Fantasy 15.
Also 10 years.
And Kingdom Hearts 3?
And those two came out at the same time. Kingdom Hearts 3, I can't remember. I never played Kingdom Hearts.
They had a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3, and then you went silent.
Yes. I've never played Kingdom Hearts, so I don't really know the timeline on that. No one's going to make me. I've seen enough videos by people attempting to explain the story of Kingdom Hearts that I know that is a line that I cannot cross. Imagine if I try to do that.
If it gets too confused, I'm out. Like, I'd never finished Kingdom Hearts 3, so...
All right.
And I love Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, especially 2. I thought 2 was really good. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 was just like, oh, this is a bit of a slog. It
Fair.
feels very PlayStation 2-ish or 3-ish even.
This just seems like this might have been supposed to come out on a different console.
How's the next one going to feel? Oh, God.
Yeah, I like the soundtrack of Kingdom Hearts. I've listened to the soundtrack, and it's really good.
Oh, yeah. You can never say anything bad about a Square Enix soundtrack.
It's wild, right? It's like...
Yeah. They always do a banger.
It's like, has there ever been a bad Square Enix soundtrack? And then now I'm sure someone's going to be in the comments going, well, actually, there was this obscure JRPG that came out in 1993 where the soundtrack was chipmunks playing drums or some shit. But I stand by what I said. Their soundtracks are great. I just really wanted to test out my new gamer voice. Plus, I needed to buy some time so I could take my shirt off. For our audio listeners, it's a shirt over a top. Don't worry. It's not that kind of podcast. Should we move on? Yes?
Said yes?
I think your microphone didn't pick it up.
Yes!
Okay.
Do you want it to be like? Do you want me to be like this?
I think it was a noise gate thing, not a distance thing.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Google Stadia is shutting down in January. This also isn't a news story. So I have some of Google's statement, which I'm going to read out now. And then I've got some bullet points. There's a new one on here. I don't know if you've read it, but I added another one, which is really funny from the last time you read these show notes, Moody. But Google's statement, partially, says, quote, a few years ago, we launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia. And while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. So we've made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. We're grateful to the dedicated Stadia players that have been with us from the start. We'll be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store and all game and add-on content purchases made through the Stadia Store. Players will continue to have access to their games library and play through January 18th, 2023, so they can complete final play sessions. We expect to have the majority of refunds completed by mid-January 2023. For the Stadia team, building and supporting Stadia from the ground up has been fueled by the same passion for games that our players have. Many of the Stadia team members will be carrying this work forward in other parts of the company, end quote. Many developers making games for Stadia found out about the shutdown via social media and journalism basically at the same time that me and Moody found out. And you never want that to be the case. Me and Moody are usually the last people to know there's something's going on.
Well, we should be.
Yeah. Yeah. There are certain instances where, like, we should be the last to know. Tom Vian, who works over at SFB Games, wrote, quote, Tangle Tower was due to launch on Stadia in 2 days' time. And this article was the first I heard about it shutting down, end quote. Mike Rose from No More Robots wrote, quote, oh my god, we have a game coming to Stadia in November. Who wants to guess that Google will refuse to pay us the money they owe us for it, end quote. Rebecca Heineman, a developer working on Bard's Tale 3, wrote, quote, we have a title coming out November 1st. Now we hear about this. And Brendan Sheffield at Microsoft Games wrote, quote, I know everybody is having a great time laughing at this. It's true. But Stadia had the best dev revenue of any streaming service, and launching Hyper Gunsport there was going to recoup our dev costs. We were launching there in November, and now we are in a much tougher situation, end quote. And then I got a few bullet points. People are trying to see if they can get their cloud saves from Cyberpunk 2077 to use on other platforms. So I guess they can like transfer it over to Steam. The Stadia controller only works with Stadia, but it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so fans are asking for Google to unlock the controller so it can be used, I guess, as a PC controller and not electrical waste. And Phil Harrison reportedly turned down an exclusive Death Stranding episodic sequel because he thought there was no longer a market for single-player games. A lot of unpack there, really. Where do you want to start?
To the disappointment for obviously to the developers and everything. Obviously, developers have been working hard on this product for a long, long time since it was showing off and everything. And like, I'll state this right now, The company I work for, we're working on games that are for Stadia and everything. It's a kick in the nuts to the developers. There's no doubt. Like it's like the ones who like saying, "Well, our game was meant to be coming out in 2 days on Stadia.
Right.
What the hell's the point of even doing that now?"
Well, they can't. The storefront's not been disabled already.
Know, like Mike Rose, no more robots. Like it's the same. It's like
we're gonna get paid for this.
Will we? Are we gonna even get our money from Google? And everything, and it's like in so many, and like yes, there's no doubt about yes. I do apologize, Brandon Sheffield. It is a little bit funny.
It is kind of funny
about it. It is very funny indeed, because everyone called it. Everyone called this was going to fail. No one thought this was going to survive or anything, because of just at the end of the day, this is a thing that should have done incredibly well. It was just an incredibly idiotic business model that they chose for it. At the end, if they literally just had this and literally said, and we have a thing called Game Pass, and it has all of these games on it, we all know it would have been absolutely fine. We know this. We probably would have been playing on it. We probably would have been.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
and everything.
So, like, yeah, it's the business model. You're absolutely correct. Like, the business model sucked. Like, I mean, and you probably go back to E3 19, I think it was, when they revealed Stadia. For the first time, and like we did a podcast, and I sat there and said, I don't know who this is for. Like, I don't because like their business model was so muddled up, where it was like, so you want to pay a subscription to get a game every month, like PS Plus, and then it's a streaming service where you want to buy games at full price, but most of these games won't be new release games. Like they're getting a few, but like most of them are old games that we might already have. So for the benefit of being able to play it on my TV, I can play games on my TV. Like, instead of it being like an entry point for people who can't afford consoles, or like don't have the means to procure a high end like gaming PC. Like Stadia should have been a godsend, but it wasn't. And the problem was, like, I tested both Stadia and xCloud because I was in the beta for that. When it was called xCloud, the Xbox one. And like the Xbox, like Stadia's technology might have been really good, but it didn't work very well on my internet, whereas I can play xCloud games on my phone. Like, I was playing Halo, a first-person shooter with very minimal input lag on my phone when I was in the beta. And Stadia, like, I tried to play one game on it, and it was really, really, like, horrible experience. So like the technology behind it wasn't there, but like, yeah, I called it in 2019 when they revealed it. I said, this isn't gonna last. Not with this model.
2019 when it was revealed. 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Because it was pre-pandemic. Because like the market conditions for something like Stadia succeeding when it launched were fucking perfect. They were ideal.
Came up and all from yeah, it really
like,
did.
There was no better time for them to launch Stadia because nobody could get a hold of any new consoles because of the chip shortages. Everybody was stuck in their fucking houses and needed something to do. Like, Stadia shouldn't have been able to fail under those market conditions. Unfortunately, they were being led by Phil Harrison.
Who does nothing but destroy things.
Yeah, like he took the PlayStation down the toilet. He took Atari down the toilet. He took Xbox down the toilet. And somehow he keeps getting hired to run these things. How does he keep getting hired? Does he have like blackmail information on all of the like people running all of the companies in video games? I don't understand.
He bloody must, that's for sure. He must really. He's literally like, I think the article I sent you was perfect for him. He is literally a guy who somehow for the last 2 decades has been falling upwards.
Yeah. Like, it's wild.
Into positions.
What's he going to do next? Like, if you work at a company in video games and you see Phil Harrison coming, fucking bar the doors before he can get in. Because you don't want him anywhere near your company. But, like, I think he's probably going to do some fucking crypto blockchain bollocks next.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
There's definitely a lot of room for a grifter in that space.
No doubt.
Fucking
no doubt. Yeah. Like, I'm disappointed for obviously the fans who did enjoy this product, who did put their heart and soul into it. I'm disappointed for the developers and everything. And I'm disappointed for the people who work at Google, who've worked their asses off to try and make this product a success. It's a shame you had Phil Harrison as your boss.
It just felt so like slapdash and thrown together, like at the last minute. Like Jade Raymond came out on their reveal stream to say like, oh, I'm heading up one of the first party studios at Google, and she'd signed a contract like the week before like she went out on a live stream, and it's just like it felt like there wasn't much forward thought and planning put into the product. Whether there was or not, I don't know, but it felt like there wasn't a lot of planning in the run up to what this product even should be and who it needs to target, which sounds like Google. To be perfectly honest, it sounds like what Google would do. And it is a shame. Like, I have no beef with Stadia fans. I know I probably should after what happened in my video on the subject, but I have no beef with them. Like, my video wasn't having a go at Stadia fans. It was just pointing out that not everybody's internet can handle Stadia. But it was being marketed. You
need a 900 megabyte internet.
Oh, easy.
That's how the Force works.
That's how the Force works. But yeah, it's like I just wanted to point it out because like Google were throwing out that thing of like everybody can have some kind of good experience on Stadia, and I was like, nope, nope. But if you've got fiber, I have fiber actually.
Yeah.
Turns out there are different variations of fiber and different speeds. Go figure. The Death Stranding thing was like made me laugh. There's no marker for single player games anymore, Moody. Not a marker for it.
I play nothing but multiplayer games.
I mean, I'm grinding Destiny like every day, right? Like that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Apex. I can't remember when I haven't lost.
Yeah. Like I win 100% of my games because I've just played it for that long. It was the best. With Stadia was the only place you could play Cyberpunk when it came out without any problems. I remember that too.
Yeah.
Because the servers were so powerful, it just brute forced its way through all of the issues.
I would have marketed that as well. I would have literally, if I was Google, said, we got to market that. We got to get this fast and get it in hard. Boom.
Cyberpunk.
Only place to play Cyberpunk perfectly fine.
Cyberpunk works.
Yeah. Cyberpunk works on our platform. Go figure.
Oh, wow. What a journey it has been. Rest in peace, Stadia. You walked so Microsoft's game cloud streaming could run.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically, yeah. Let's do a quick half time, and then we'll move on to the rest of the things that we want to talk about.
This was below halftime the first time.
I know. But I didn't expect a 10-minute Star Trek interlude. That's what's...
You should always expect a 10-minute Star Trek interlude.
Yeah, you've got me there. Okay, you've got me. Nothing I can say in rebuttal of that other than it's halftime. This is where we do a little thing we like to call Indie Game of the Week, where we talk about a cool looking indie game that's coming out sometime in the future. This week's Indie Game of the Week is called Solace State, Emotional Cyberpunk Stories. And the store description reads, you play as Chloe, a young hacker who seeks to find her missing friend Rebecca as a biotech crackdown embroils the city of Abraxa. With political intrigue and private police surveillance at large, how will Chloe make her mark in this city? How far does she have to go to protect her friends and communities struggling to have a future worth living for? Characters will remember your choices you make as Chloe. Sometimes the consequences are small, other times this can have broader, city-wide ramifications. Choose to romance Torrent, Alden, or Sueli, or choose to have them as a close friend instead. You'll still experience their arcs either way. Hand-drawn characters brimming with personality and sense of fashion, a dynamic storytelling experience where the camera hacks through urban environments to reveal key story information in 3D spaces. It's being developed by Vivid Foundry Corp, it's also being published by Vivid Foundry Corp, and it's coming sometime in 2022 to PC via Steam and Xbox platforms.
Sweetness.
Don't know why I gave that Xbox platforms a little pizzazz. Like, I gave it a little bit of pizzazz. Because normally I would go straight into, there's a link in the description, and you should click it, go check the game out, wishlist the game. Always wishlist the games because it helps the developers. But I threw myself off with the pizzazz. I said, put on the Xbox platforms part.
You put too much pizzazz into it.
I put too much pizzazz into the Xbox.
Who knew?
Who?
That was even possible.
Who knew? Who knew I even had any spare pizzazz? I didn't. This is a cool game. Go check it out. It's got a cool art style. It's like what we were just talking about at the top. Sometimes I see a screenshot and I go, oh, and that's all it takes.
Ooh.
Ooh, let's crack right on. Sorry, I had an itch. I don't know why that prevented me from talking, but it did.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Ninja Theory disputes claims that it is using AI to replace voice actors. This is from Vicky Blake over at Eurogamer. He writes, Hellblade developer Ninja Theory has disputed claims that it uses AI technology to replace voice actors in its games, saying it only uses AI-generated voice work for, quote, placeholder content, end quote. Ninja Theory was named by GLHF as a company that utilizes the services of Altered AI, a tech firm that supports studios in creating, quote, compelling professional voice performances, end quote, via AI, rather than professional and real voice actors. The report stopped short of revealing the minutiae of the agreement, however, stating that, quote, the details of the partnership are under wraps, end quote. Asked directly, quote, are you actually considering replacing human voice actors with AI, end quote, Ninja Theory's response was a definitive, quote, no. For clarity, we use this AI tech for placeholder content only to help us understand things like timing and placement in early phases of development. We then collaborate with real actors whose performances are at the heart of bringing our stories to life, end quote. That was a Twitter.
This is a double-edged sword type of product here. I can see why voice actors are incredibly worried about this technology. There's no doubt about it, because they struggle day to day just to even get a job these days when it comes to voice acting. It's because it's a hard business. It's very competitive and everything, and 9 times out of 10, and I don't mean this in a mean way towards the man, because I personally think he's brilliant, but 9 times out of 10, everyone goes Troy Baker or Nolan North these days. Or now Laura Bailey. Hey, Laura Bailey getting thrown in there as well a little bit. But no, like it's like this. But I think if this was for a small indie developer who like games who I've loved and everything, but I've also struggled with because I need a voice. Reading, it's very hard for me. It's very difficult for me. So to have an option where where I could have heard the words saying to me, it doesn't have to be the greatest performance ever. It should just be. It helps me understand the story a lot more easier, and that's all that matters to me. It could have literally been like, "This is the world," and type of thing for me. I would have been absolutely fine with that.
Exterminate!
Exterminate! Exterminate! But no, yeah, it's like, but if there's like a big AAA developer and everything like this were using this, that is worrisome, especially one that has the backing of a $1 trillion company called Microsoft and Ninja Theory. And yeah, so I can see the upsides, but I can also see the real bad sides to this.
I want to talk a lot about everything that you just said. But number one, your Troy Baker comment was really funny because I played Metal Hellsinger a couple of weeks ago and he's literally in that. And and number two, the Troy Baker thing completely derailed the thing I was just going to say. Oh, no. It's like, can we talk about the fact that it's Ninja Theory that's one of the companies that's using AI voices as placeholders? Because, their whole, big story from when Hellblade came out was the fact that they got one of their developers. Actually, I don't think it was... everyone who makes a game is a developer. They were in the community department, I think. Community manager or something like that. Marketing. So they were somewhere in the company.
They were part of the development team.
They were part of the development team. Yeah. Stop digging, Amy. Put the shovel down. Put the shovel down. Everybody who works on a video game is a developer. And they that was their story, right? She came in, she did the voiceover because they didn't have an actress for Senua, and then her performance was so good they used her in the game. And then she won fucking awards for how good she was in the game. It's like, guys, what? We don't want to use placeholders. We want to use you're the people with the most famous story about using placeholders. What are you doing?
It is, problematic. There's no doubt about that. I do agree. Like, it's just like, why are you doing this? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop it. Whatever you're doing, just stop it.
Stop it. Just bat the hands away from the robot. Stop it. Stop
Pretty much, yeah.
like this. It's fine. Like, it's using money to solve a problem that doesn't need solving. It's like, it's placeholder dialogue. If you just get like fucking Steve from accounting, you happen to be wandering past to read some lines off of the script, and then you replace those lines with the actor that you want to use the part. Because like, yeah, this it's not as straightforward as like, this is bad because this is really good. Like, the technology could be really useful for, as you say, small indie developers who can't afford voiceover, can't afford voice actors.
Yeah.
Like, I know the guild that the video game voice actors are in. Like, they have like clauses in their contracts where like indie developers can pay less to secure talent, which is probably how things like Troy Baker can be a mental health singer. But like, you're talking about like really small developers with basically no budget could get access to something like this, be a game changer for them. The problem is, I think we both know how this technology is probably going to be used in the future if it takes off, which is it's going to be used as a money saver by big companies.
Yes.
You don't have to pay Laura Bailey and Troy Baker and anyone else when they can just pay for a robot to do all of the voices.
Yeah. It sucks. There's no doubt about that. It sucks to hear that type of thing. And because these people, like, we've connected to these characters because of the performances of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, I connected with the Alex Chan character last year because of the performance from the actress. Laura Bailey with Abby. Like, I hated her from the beginning, but by the end of it, because of her performance and obviously the writing and everything in the game, but how she portrayed the performance, you just like you feel and understand her so much by the end of it, and you're worried by Ellie. You're screaming at, no, Ellie, do not do this. Stop it. Type of thing, and those games have portrayed such an emotion because of it.
Yeah. And, my emotions.
Yeah, it basically is. And if this thing happens, you can Jeff Keighley, you can kiss the best performance award out the bloody window in a few years' time. The best audio voiceover this year goes to an AI. Oh shit! What did you do?
Meep Mob 27 for their performance as all of the characters in Call of Duty. I don't know. Like, there'll be some studios that I think like are auteur led. You know what I mean? Like even if like AI becomes the thing and it's cheaper and loads of like big companies are using it. Like, I don't see a company like current Naughty Dog being like, yeah, let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think they'll still have the performance of people in there, but like, there are some companies that I would look at and be like, they would definitely use this. if they think they could get away with it and it's cheaper, they would definitely do this. 100%.
Hell to the yes.
They wouldn't even think twice about it. Activision. Ubisoft. Yeah. It's like an unholy trinity.
The only people I can see not doing this is probably Sony, because they pride themselves on incredible stories, and it's because of the performances that they get from it. that Sony probably wouldn't do it, even though yes, they're a corporation and they've got an idiot as an owner or as a boss right now running PlayStation. Watch this next week. Just imagine
robot
Jim
voices
makes a fool of a podcast within 24 hours.
Let's be fair. There are plenty of people. There are plenty of people in this industry who have made a fool of our podcast in the past.
That's true. Yeah.
This will never happen. 24 hours later. Oh,
worst thing is, we've actually said that and it has happened. We were just like, you're fucking kidding me, right?
What the fuck?
Podcast hadn't even dropped as well. They hadn't released it yet. Yeah. I don't know what story it was, but it was something.
It was something to do with Microsoft, and I remember they completely ruined my Monday because I was like, I'm about to put this motherfucking podcast out, and they've just done me. Like, they've just fucking ran fucking circles around me and kicked me in the fucking mud. And I'm curious now. I want to know what that was, because I remember it happened. Because I remember getting on you in Messenger and just being like, "Fuck, those fucking bastards." They're mad. Xbox were just mad because I predicted the name of the Xbox One X, and I basically like laid out how Play Anywhere was going to work before they even had Play Anywhere was a thing.
You pretty much did.
I have a habit of like nailing my Xbox predictions.
You do all right.
I do okay. I do all right. It's not just Xbox. Like, I'm not going to go through a greatest hits of my amazing predictions, but like I do want to bring that back next year. I've missed that this year, where we do ridiculous predictions in January and we see if they come true. So I want to try and do that again next year because that was fun. Make it into a silly game. I'm good at making things into silly games.
Always find a way.
I turned video game reviews into a silly game that I'm losing.
Did you ever expect to win?
I won last year. By that much. On the last day.
Oh, you're talking about OpenCritic?
Yeah, I'm talking about OpenCritic.
Yeah, okay.
Fantasy Critic, I was the inaugural champion. So there.
So there, indeed. Just you tongue out at me?
No, and you can't prove anything.
Until Monday.
Till Monday. It's Monday, you know what that means.
Yeah.
Shall we move on? Let's move on. Ex-Nintendo worker details labor complaint. This is from Brendan Sinclair over at gamesindustry.biz, who writes, the person at the heart of an April labor complaint against Nintendo and contracting firm Aston Carter has come forward in an interview with Axios. The tester, Mackenzie Clifton, provided more details on the specifics of their complaint. Telling Axios they tried to ask Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser about unionization in a January company meeting, and Nintendo and Aston Carter fired them for it in February. Clifton said they tried to ask Bowser. Why did they have to appoint someone called Bowser? Clifton said they tried to ask Bowser for...
Balls. That's a thing. They automatically think, well, he could have been the most unqualified person ever, but they just
his name is Bowser.
Nintendo knew they had to have him.
Fucking ridiculous, man. It makes reading a news story about Nintendo where fucking Doug Bowser comes up fucking ridiculous. Oh, man. Okay. Clifton said they tried to ask Bowser for Nintendo's position on the recent trend of unionization among QA teams in the games industry, but the subject was not addressed in the meeting. They added that after the meeting, an Aston Carter supervisor told them it was a, quote, downer question, end quote, and said in the future they should put any such questions to Aston Carter rather than Nintendo. Clifton said they were fired in February, with Nintendo claiming the termination was for disclosing confidential information. The supporting evidence Clifton was given for the termination was a tweet they made in mid-February saying, quote, in today's build, someone somewhere must have deleted every other texture in the game because everything is now red. Just like pure red. It's very silly, end quote. Clifton also discussed settlement talks around their case, saying they wanted a letter of apology signed by Bowser, while Nintendo counteroffered to let them speak with the human resources team and be given a neutral letter of reference. Nintendo and Anson Carter did not answer Axios' request for comment, while the National Labour Relations Board declined to comment.
I'll just the same as what it was before, like when we were talking about Activision and talking about Ubisoft get the unionization. Like Nintendo, they're not your friends. Like I remember when I was listening to the Console Wars on Audible, brilliant book by the way,
amazing book,
freaking phenomenal.
Yeah,
but even then, I was thinking, Nintendo, you guys
they fucking hate everybody.
What the fuck? Hate everybody, don't you?
Jesus.
You don't like anybody.
Yeah.
What have we ever done to you? But anyway, when it comes to like, and again, I'll just say this to Mackenzie, Cliff, you never go to a president of a company to talk about unionization. I don't care who you are. You never do it. It's like asking the Tories to allow us to unionize.
It's like asking the Tories.
They'll find a way to block it.
It's like asking the Tories for like a living wage that I can live on.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, do you know how much this podcast costs me in lighting these days? Yeah. But no, yeah. Like you don't like as much as like Nintendo are shitty and completely in the wrong. Here, like from my perspective, in my opinion, let me just add. Didn't say allegedly that time. You don't march up to the boss and be like, so about unionizing, because like you are going to get fired. Companies.
He would have been like this, just pressing the red button of unionization under his desk.
Release the hounds.
We got one of them. Press it right now.
No, you're not wrong. It's like you have to treat if you're working in a company, you have to treat the management of that company like they're Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, like because that's. Yeah, they can be nice to you, sure, and maybe you can even have a bit of banter to them. But like, if it's in their best interest to fuck you over, they will fuck you over. In the company's best interest to fuck you over, then you'll get fucked over.
The president's there for their shareholders, nothing more, nothing else.
How can I make my shareholders richer? Is the question that goes through a CEO or president of a company's mind, like. 24/7. That's their entire life.
There's no doubt about it. Like I do not agree with the statement, like what Nintendo claiming determination type of thing or anything like that. But I'll also state this, Clifford, never talk about anything about a build or anything, even though you weren't citing that this was for Nintendo or anything like that. Never do that on Twitter, man, or social media. You just don't do that. For me personally, you just don't do that. I would never do that whatsoever. Like, there's a reason. Like when you're a developer and everything like that, you're under an embargo for anything, and then any company will try. If I leaked out saying blah 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 type of thing, and my company literally found out I said this, they'll be like. Yeah, you're gone, dude. You know why you're gone and type of thing like this. And Nintendo, there's no doubt about it. They've used a legal loophole to use what they've said on Twitter, but at the same time, it's just like for me, it's a grey area where I just wouldn't do that.
It's that thing of like if a company wants to fire you, they'll be able to find an excuse to fire you. Like and like,
you gave me an excuse.
We've seen it like before. They gave them the reason. Like the excuse is just bollocks, but it's always bollocks. So if a company wants to fire you, they'll find a reason, and the reason is usually tenuous bullshit. That like, well, hang on, if I got fired for this, how didn't all these other people get fired for this? But then the settlement will probably be cheaper than if they'd stayed at the company and everybody had unionized. So it's worth it for the company to pay for that. You know what I mean? Like, but no, like I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a game dev, so I'm not even gonna wade into that one.
That's fair. No, that's understandable. I'm just going off like from my own experience. I like literally said when I started a PlayStation and started a thingy, I was at my company I'm working at now. I was just like, whatever I'm working on or whatever I'm doing, I ain't talking about it. I'm not talking about what I do or anything like that on a podcast or anything like that. If I want to talk to it with my partner, or even you sometimes, and everything, which I did when I was at PlayStation.
They're gonna come for me now, Moody. I know too much.
Why did you think I said it, Amy?
This podcast is over.
Time for me to go to bed. Bye. No, but yeah, it's like it's just a me thing at the end of the day. Other people may think of it completely otherwise, and that's their decision at the end of the day. But for me, I'm just like, I put my top lip and my bottom lip, and I put them together, and they don't come apart.
Sure. I mean, hey, how much do I talk about like things I'm making, like in public? It's just one of, like, for me personally, like, even I know it's just one of those things where it's like you just don't. But like, I mean, it's a harmless tweet. It's a funny tweet. Somebody deleted a texture and now everything's red. That's all the tweet really says. It's pretty funny. But like, yeah, company's gonna do their company thing. And here we are. I'm sure we'll hear more about this later in the future.
Probably.
Hopefully Mackenzie Clifton can get paid from this lawsuit. Oh,
but Nintendo lawyers, they are ruthless.
Yeah.
So,
all lawyers are.
That's true, like especially when it comes to a corporation.
Yeah. Again, if you go back to The Simpsons, it's like when Mr. Burns pushes the button and like those 10 lawyers are just in a cupboard. It's like I just picture that at Nintendo.
All corporations.
Just all corporations everywhere. Yeah, 10's probably not enough. It's just like they just push a button and the ceiling just like slowly shifts back to like a glass like see-through like room above, and it's just full of lawyers like wandering around like Sims characters that are like, you know, when they're just idling with nothing to do. They're all just walking around with like briefcases and suits. I don't know where my mind went with that one, but that's where it went. Yeah, that's where it went. My brain is fascinating, even to me. Even I don't know what the hell's going on upstairs. Shall we move on?
Why not?
Ubisoft boss draws fire for comments on friction in game development. This is from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, who writes, Yves Guillemot, boss and co-founder of Ubisoft, and our favourite topic on this podcast, has raised eyebrows for his comments on the need for, quote, a little friction, end quote, in game development. Discussing his company's troubles with harassment and workplace toxicity, as highlighted by a number of employees since the summer of 2020, fuck me, it's been 2 years, Guillemot told La Presse that Ubisoft had been, quote, progressing at a good pace, end quote, in dealing with its issues, but that, quote, creating a video game is not easy and sometimes created a lot of tension, end quote. He continued to say, quote, techniques must be put in place to ensure that everyone succeeds in finding their place. To create, you need a little friction, because everyone has to succeed in getting their idea across. Excuse me. It's a job that brings a lot of rewards when you succeed, but it's difficult, end quote. The remarks have been criticised for appearing to accept that a need for friction among employees during game development at a time Ubisoft is still trying to correct its workplace issues. Guillemot has since offered a further explanation of his answer, first published by Kotaku, in which he began by stating there was, quote, absolutely no place for toxicity at Ubisoft in our industry. When I spoke of there sometimes being friction, I was thinking of the creative tension that is common and vital in innovative companies like ours, where people... where people have the freedom to challenge ideas and have heated but healthy debates. To prevent this tension from becoming negative, or to address it if it does, that's where strong policies, values, and corresponding procedures are essential. Guillemot concludes by stating Ubisoft has made progress, that its latest employee survey reflect this, and that building, quote, healthy, respectful working environments is our top priority, end quote. But, ahead of Ubisoft's recent celebrations for the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed, a fan group closely linked with the series' development claims some staff who faced scandal, or who protected those people, remain at the company.
Gee, if you said the quiet part out loud.
Eve, You fucking dumbass.
He is a double dumbass.
He's a fucking idiot. Like, I posited the question 2 years ago when he said his piece about the initial explosion of scandal. Like, you're either incompetent or an idiot. It's one of the two. And there's no... Like, you're a liar or you're incompetent. I think he's both. I think he's an incompetent liar.
Yeah. Let's be fair. We all know he knew.
Yes.
We all know he knew. If you think he didn't know, if you think that he didn't know, I have to ask you to politely leave the room.
But before you go,
the conversation.
I have a building to sell you.
Yeah. And I have a bin to sell you for you to go in. We'll say that.
Hop into the sea.
No, to hop into the sea. Yes, indeed.
No one's going to understand that.
It's even better.
It's the ultimate words about games joke. It's a joke from a lost episode that will never come out.
Yeah, true. Oh god, let me just take my glasses off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Clean my eye.
That's cool.
Gee, like, you are the biggest muppet in the industry. So the thing is, there's parts of what he says are spot on. Creating video games is
hard
not
work.
easy. Hard work, no doubt about it. Having healthy debates, you're right. We like to have healthy debates.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy debates.
Healthy debates.
Not heated debates. This ain't a political fight. This is about creating a video game and everything. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, the person in charge of the project should have the final say to say, okay, I agree from both ends. I like both ideas, but we're going to go with the left idea or the right idea. You know what I mean? Type of thing. And also try and calm down the tensions as well. That's what a leader should be doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100% with that statement. People should, in a meeting, be able to get their ideas across, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even debate each other's ideas in a meeting. But the person in control of that meeting should be in control of that meeting. So if two people start arguing with each other, you step up and say, okay, let's hear from Becky first. What am I saying? There's probably not a woman in one of these meetings. Let's hear from Dave first. And then let's hear from Billy next, right? And then you're right. Like, the person who is in charge then makes the decision and gives their reasons for making that decision. And at no point should it ever become friction. Right? Like, the person whose idea doesn't get picked might be a bit salty, which is totally understandable. Because I imagine if it's a Ubisoft meeting, the idea that does get picked is, what if we just climb a tower? But shit, my own joke threw me off. But yeah, it's like that's what managers are for. That's what, like, people who are in charge of, like, you know, in charge of the things are there to do. Jimo even says in his follow-up statement, to prevent the tension from becoming negative, like, we have policies in place. That's good. That's really good. But then he also says, or to address it if it does, Eve, I give you this one for free. If it does become negative and you have to sort it out, then you need better policies because your policies haven't worked.
I need better policies and better management, in which Jeeve does not have.
Yeah.
Which has been proven he does not have. We know this. On many of our articles that are continuing to coming out, that of Ubisoft workers coming out and saying, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
What's changed is the dickhead's gone from this studio and now he works at this studio.
Yeah. One of the most prolific ones is working on one of the games that were revealed just a few weeks ago and everything. Like, it's disgusting. Jeeve. I'll say this again. You gotta leave. You're done. You are done. You are not. This is going to constantly haunt your company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it should.
Until they leave. Him and his team need to leave. And along with the management who they've kept in, who have terrible things against them. They need to leave.
Needs to be fixed, sorted. You know what I mean? Like, complete, like, shake up to get people in who can actually fix the culture, because we've heard from too many people who work at Ubisoft that the culture has not been fixed. Was it last week we were talking about this?
So it wasn't last week, it was the week before.
Someone literally said they'd left because it was still exactly the same and they couldn't take it anymore. So they just left the company. Like, that wasn't 2 years ago. Ubisoft, that was much more recently. And like, employee surveys are useless. Like, I don't know why companies insist on continuing to do them, because most people, even when they're anonymous, most people don't want the hassle of filling in an employee survey truthfully. Like, this is the thing. It's anecdotal, but I've seen it happen so many times in my own experiences. Like, most people just don't click the buttons that they need to click to say the things that need to be said.
Well, they have, what, over 30,000 employees, and I honestly don't believe all of them answer it. In a toxic
workplace, I should say.
Oh, agreed. There's no doubt about that. But like I said, there's like, what, 30,000 employees? I bet not even half of them fill it out.
Yeah, what would be the point? Like, the people who are currently working at Ubisoft who are having a bad time, like, they've seen everything that's happened in the last 2 years since it all came out. No, it probably didn't all come out, but you know what I mean. Since all this stuff came out 2 years ago. So what's the point? Like, what would be the point in filling in an employee survey if nothing's going to change? If everybody talking about your company and how fucking toxic it is didn't make you change, why are a few employees like clicking on some buttons and typing some stuff in to, you know what I mean? That's not going to change anything either.
It isn't. Yeah, it really isn't. So, and like, you're probably only getting, if you're lucky, 20% of employees filling this out truthfully.
Truthfully.
I don't even think at the same time. So
maybe. Ubisoft.
Get your shit together, Ubisoft. This is the thing about it. Like, you've created some of the best games, some amazing games. Like, love or hate the franchise, Assassin's Creed franchise is one of the biggest IPs out there, and you've had some amazing games. The Ezio trilogy, I think, is still a great trilogy. I've loved them. I love Black Flag. I think Black Flag was a great Assassin's Creed Pirates game, and I loved Odyssey. Odyssey, playing as Cassandra in Odyssey was incredible. It was an incredible experience and an incredible game to fall in love with. And I am looking forward to seeing what this next Assassin's Creed is going to be, the one that I talked about, and I'm intrigued to see what you guys are doing for the Avatar game. I am very fascinated to see, because I love Avatar, I love that franchise. I can't wait for the sequel film coming out in December. But my goodness, like, Ubisoft, you got to get Jeeve. It's the thing. It's not Ubisoft. It's Jeeve and his team. It's him and his team. And other people are attached to his team and everything. But yeah, it's like
parasites.
They are absolute parasites. They really, really are. And it's just like I don't know. I don't know what like, they're not going to leave under their own.
They've realized they don't need to.
Yeah. It's the only way. Honestly, the only way they leave is if a company comes in and buys them. Which at the same time, not a lot of people would want.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not good.
And it also depends on what company buys them, if a company does one, you know?
Yeah, like if Tencent march up and buy them, that's not great. That's Tencent hired one of the guys that got fired from Ubisoft in 2020. So it's just like, it's like the snake eating its own tail. Like, there are a lot of options, and most of them suck. It's like buying a loot box. That was relevant like 5 years ago. That joke would have killed 5 years ago.
Would have been killer.
Would have been amazing.
We would have all been rolling around.
We would have all been like, "Oh, Amy, you're so funny." Now it's just like now there's people might like logging. What's a loot box?
Oh my god, are we there already?
And if you don't know what a loot box is, you're welcome, because we killed them. Not just us, but like a collective group of people.
The thing is, though, they aren't dead.
No. We killed them enough that most AAA games will now not go anywhere near them. Most. Said most.
I think that's debatable.
The majority of AAA games are moving away from loot boxes.
They're called battle passes, though.
Yeah. Completely different thing. One's a box and one's a line. Now that joke kills in 2022.
Instead of a box, it's a line.
Am I wrong?
You know. Okay.
Let's move on.
What have you been playing, Amy?
What have I been playing? Wow, well, let's see. What have I been playing? I played a game. I say played like I'm not still playing it. I played a game called I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, in which you play as a teenage exocolonist, surprisingly enough. It's crazy, right? Yeah, so this is it's a weird game to try and describe. But like you're playing as it's like a narrative focused game. You're part of like a colony of people who like fly away from Earth on a rocket ship through a wormhole to another planet where you can start a new life, because living on Earth is not really doable anymore. It's a bit close to home, but you do that. You play as like you play as like a 10-year-old kid who was born on the spaceship. So like has never lived on Earth, doesn't know anything about it apart from like history classes and stuff. And you literally play as that character for 10 years, like in game time. So from the 10 to 20, so you play through all the teenage years basically. Space puberty, it sucks, but like it's got a lot of different like gameplay elements. Like you grab stuff from all sorts of different genres. It's a bit survival game, in that you've got to survive on this alien planet. It's a bit life sim in that it's based around seasons. So like you choose activities to do every month. And then that activity will either do something with the narrative, or it will like build your skill points up, or it'll build relationships with some of the other characters. And you can give them gifts and romance them, and it's very sweet. And then you can explore the wilderness and like learn more about the planet, because there is an overarching story to the game. And generally, there's a lot of stats you can level up and a lot of relationships that you can build up. And the more you build up relationships, you don't necessarily have to romance a character while building up their relationship. You can just become really good and really close with them. And then they all have their own personal storylines. And generally, like in a playthrough, you'll have the ability to, because I've finished my first playthrough of this game. And generally in a playthrough, you'll have the ability to sort of maybe like get really high relationships with 2 or 3 characters, and maybe like go high on about 4 or 5 skills. Like you can't max out everything in one playthrough, but there's also this like meta narrative, and you become sort of aware of it as you play through your first playthrough, where you have like your character has like dreams or like nightmares about bad things that are happening, or like, and it's like connected to what's about to happen, like in whatever scene that you're about to do. And like the implication is there's all these different timelines and different versions of the story of what's happening, and that's kind of like the meta narrative of the game. Because once you finish the playthrough, something happens at the end. I'm not going to say what it is because it's the end of the game, and then you can hit new game, and when you play through new game, you've got all that in like experience of your first playthrough, but like things that you've seen in that playthrough are like remembered as dreams by the character. So like let's say like there's an early example that happens that'll happen to everybody who plays the game. So I'll talk through it here. In an early part of the game, a character dies very suddenly, and if you play through the game a second time, you have like a nightmare which is like tied to that character dying. So it gives your character in the game an option to do something different and potentially save this character's life.
Yeah.
So like I haven't played too far through my second playthrough. I'm really excited to do that and see like what are all these different choices I can make. Like there was an outbreak of a thing. It was like a virus, and I cured that in my first playthrough. So can I just like cure that straight away, like in my second playthrough? Because that would be rad. Because it means I don't have to go through all of the steps again, and I can focus my time somewhere else. So that's awesome. The only thing I will say about the game isn't in a negative light is it does drag a bit. It is quite long to do a playthrough, especially when you're then set up to do multiple playthroughs. But I don't know if my second playthrough is going to feel better because I know what I'm doing now. Like, obviously the game has multiple different endings. And I wasn't wholly satisfied with the ending I got. But I also realized because of where I put my skill, where I put my skill points and what I'd chosen to do throughout the game, like I'd locked myself out of doing a lot of stuff that probably would have resulted in getting a better ending. So like for the last sort of hour, I'd say, of the game, I was kind of just like clicking through it going, I just need to get the end of this now. Like, because I'm like, I know I'm not going to enjoy it. I know I'm not going to like the ending that I get, but I also know it's not the ending. Like, if you know what I mean, it's not like the definitive ending. So I was like, I did spend the last sort of hour and a half just being like, come on, come on. And then out of nowhere, I found a secret ending. It just blew my fucking mind. Sorry, he was saying.
No, I was just going to say, that's a shame because you don't want to feel like, okay, I'm done with this game, let's get to the end type of thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be feeling that. Like it's like the thing I said off podcast with you about the things I watched today, and I was just like, film perfect 90 minutes.
Yeah, perfect 90
satisfied,
minutes.
Felt just like, whoa, that was beautiful. It didn't even feel too long, didn't feel too short. And but if you're feeling, okay, come on. It's like Frodo climbing up fucking Mount Mordor singing, come on, you little bastard, get the fuck up there. We've got another 30 minutes of this shit, Frodo.
Even Sam was sick of his shit.
Yeah.
No, because of the way the game works, I feel like, see, that analogy is spot on. Like the film that you watched, that was 90 minutes and it was a perfect 90 minutes. It would be like if that film was 2.5 hours, because in the middle they'd added a bunch of stuff that kind of stretched it out. Yeah. Like I'm sure that time that I wasted in my first playthrough will come in handy in my second playthrough. But it was just that dawning realization of there's not really a lot I can do now to affect the storyline. And like I've built up relationships with all of these characters and I don't have time to build up a relationship with another character. And like I didn't really have time to do anything. So I was kind of just spinning my wheels. It wasn't necessarily like I was clicking through going, I need to get to the end. It was more like I'm needing to get to the next bit. So like there's a chapter in a game that's not very good. And you just like, come on man, I just need to get to the next chapter. Just need to get to the next chapter. That's kind of what it felt like.
Oh, that's fair.
But
that's just but it's kind of like the same thing.
It's still a drag, yeah.
Yeah, the chapter. It was like the thing from when I talked about Return of Monkey Island last week. Chapter 4. I said that was a drag and a half for me. I still enjoyed the game overall and had a fun time. It's still one of my favorite games this year. But out of it, I'm like, geez, chapter 4, you dragged, you son of a bitch.
That's like my chapter 4. That's basically, it's basically a 1-for-1. That's what happened. But like, I'm looking forward to going through a playthrough with like a full save file of like stuff from the last one. So like, there's going to be constant like interruptions, like because there's a lot of choices. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that did go wrong. I remember reading, because I read reviews. This is one of the few games I read reviews for because I was on the fence about it. It was actually, it was Rebecca Valentine. I don't think she reviewed the game, but she talked about it on Twitter. She was the one that convinced me to pick it up. But I saw a review for it saying like, oh, it's a nice game and it's very toothless. So everything's life or death. but they called it Toothless, and I was like, okay, well, it does look a bit cozy. Like, the art style and presentation does make it look like a cozy game. This game is not toothless, Moody. Really bad shit happens all the time. Like, the game, to its credit, when you start it, it goes, hey, by the way, this game has a lot of content warnings. You should probably read them before you go into the game. And it does the thing, Tell Me Why. Remember when we talked about that game's content warnings? It does that. So you can see all of the different categories. And if there's a category, you click on it, and then it'll give you more information if you want it about specific content warnings. So you can go in and actually spoil sections of the game. Because a lot of bad things can happen to these characters. And did, in my case. Like, I managed to get some good shit to happen. Like, I worked on some stuff, and some people lived, but a lot of people, bad stuff happened to them. So a lot of people died, and there wasn't much I could do. There wasn't much I could do about it.
That's what everyone says.
But I'm looking forward to being able to do something about it. One of the things I love about this game is that sort of, it feels like the Forgotten City last year, the time loop game. In that, like, it's almost like you're just building narrative on top of narrative on top of narrative, and it's like the more you learn and figure out, the closer you can get to a better ending.
Yeah,
but the journey's fantastic. Like, as you go through, like my ending in my first playthrough was subpar, but like going through the journey and like the characters, and they're written so well, and like you get to know them like from 10, because all the kids are roughly the same age. And they're the main characters that you interact with. So from the ages of 10 to 20, and you get to know all these characters and grow up with them. And they're really well written. Like, and they're fantastic. And I loved, like, interacting with them and getting to know the ones that I got to know. Like, I chose to, like, ply with gifts and and build the heart meters up. It was a really good, really, really good experience that I definitely highly recommend. To anyone who likes that kind of game. Just know that when you get to the end, it's like playing a Nier game. Just get to the end, but then hit new game. Trust me, it's not the same experience twice.
Good to hear.
Yeah. I also played Brewmaster on stream. Twitch.tv/WordsAboutGames is a VOD up. Chaos. Whoever said this is a relaxing brewing experience has never met me trying to play a sim game. Everything was going fine. Where's my phone? Because I want to actually read something.
Oh God.
It's fine. It's nothing like that. Everything was going fine. Like, you made these beers. Start off, and you basically brew beer. That's what you're doing. It's in the first person, and you like get stuff out of the fridge, and you hang the things, and you pour the things into the pot, and like you do all the things, all the steps to make beer that you would think that you make. And I just need to find. And like at first, it's pretty simple, but then they add another step. So that was I was doing well, like getting into a nice rhythm of making straightforward beers, because it has like it tells you how complicated the recipes are. And so I was making straightforward beers and having a great time, and everything was fine. And then I moved on to the next stage, the average difficulty recipes, and like it added this extra step, basically like. The guy gave me a cooler, which people used for something else, and like you mix a bunch of grains in the cooler, and then that becomes like an extra step to like making the beer. And I didn't understand the instructions, and everything was happening so fast. Because like you're like, oh, you've got to put it in, and it's got to be 66 degrees. So you've got to keep the water heated, and then you've got to pour it in a bit more to make sure it keeps over 66 degrees. And like you can't just do it in real time. So you've got to speed time up and then go like because it's gonna take an hour, right? I'm not gonna spend an hour just going. And then like I did the thing, and then I was pouring the water in, and then I was like, shit, I've sped up too fast. Like the water's gone cold, so I put the water back on the hob. And then as it was heating up, the cooler was getting colder. And I was like, well, shit, I'll just pour all the water in the cooler. And I poured all the water in the cooler. It was too much water. So it started spilling out everywhere. And then I was like, oh, shit, fuck, no. And then it got to the thing, and I was like, it's close enough. I think it was like 62 degrees. It's fine. And then I put the lid on, and you have to let it ferment. And at some point, I think I was supposed to do something with the stuff in the cooler that was left in the cooler. Because it was there. Yeah. It sat there for the rest of me making the rest of this beer, and then I was like, I've still got this this cooler full of stuff, but I didn't understand what it was meant to do with it. And then I tried to submit the beer, and the game was like, there's not enough beer in the tank. And I went, oh, well, that's fine. I'll just take everything that's in this cooler, just add it to the thing. And I did that, and I made a beer. I want to read the I took a screenshot off of Twitch, and this is the flavor notes in this beer, right? So these are all the flavor notes in this beer: banana, apricot, peach, apple, plum, clove, phenolic, ester, pear, tropical fruit, citrus, orange, grapefruit, caramel, floral, lemon, melon, toasty, sulfur, nutty, pine, passion fruit, mango, grass, cookie, pepper, earthy. Moody, I somehow made a beer with 27 flavor notes in it.
That's how life works.
And it was 7.3% proof. So if you want to get pissed on a beer that tastes like every fruit in the world all at once, I got the perfect brew for you. I said it to people like Phil who like know a lot about beer, and Ryan was there and he drinks beer. He was in the stream, and it was just like I was getting a lot of like that kind of reaction, because I was like, "Would you drink this?" And most people were like, I might try it. Like trying to be nice about it.
Be nice.
I was like, you don't need to be nice about it. This looks like a horror show. I called the beer, do not drink this. Because I saw the making of how I made it, and I don't think I could I don't think I could repeat that. Like I don't think I could make this beer again if I tried.
Probably not.
Then I overcorrected. My next beer after that didn't taste of anything. Tasted of wheat. It tasted of wheat and hops, the ingredients that I put in the beer. So I overcorrected and made a beer that was basically water. So I'm still fine-tuning the beer making process. But like, as far as like, what do you think of like, is this game good? I mean, there's your answer. There's my story. Like, I bought a pride flag and hung it up in the kitchen. That's the only other thing I did. Which might explain the fruity beer.
It had fruit in.
Only I could make a beer so fruity. It had 15 different fruit flavors in it. Oh, that's it. Did you play anything this week that you can talk about?
No.
I didn't do the joke. Shit. You play anything good this week?
Nope.
Ah, so it's not good. Gotcha. Message received. Message received. Journalism. Let's do games out this week. Not many. On October 4th, we've got the Overwatch 2 multiplayer release from PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. We've also got 1428 Shadows over Silesia coming to PC. Then on October 5th, The Plague Doctor of Ripper comes to PC. And lastly, on October 6th, 2 games. Josh Journey Darkness Totems comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And Excuse me. Medieval Dynasty comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Nothing for Amy to play this week. Normally,
that's definitely an unusual week then.
Yeah.
You always find something.
Normally, there's like 6 games, and I'm like, but this week there's nothing. So I can actually like chip away.
Catch up on the 6 you've missed.
chip away, like play a couple more games. Or like edit some videos. Like I have a ton of videos to make. It's Steam Next Fest this week as well, so I'll probably make a Steam Next Fest video. Because there's some really, really cool looking demos. Like that I've seen. Like, because like I get emails from game devs and publishers still, and they're like, "We're gonna have a demo at Steam Next Fest," and I'm like, "Holy shit, really?" I can't wait to play that. Season, you know, that game that you had on Fantasy Critic. Season.
Season.
Yeah. That's coming. That's gonna have an Next Fest demo. I got an email about it. I was like, "Fuck, awesome!" Like, cause like I want to check that game out.
Yeah, there was a reason why I picked it for fucking Fantasy Critic, because I'm thinking.
Well, keep an eye out on the YouTube channel, and you'll see me talking about how good the demo is.
Slapped me in the ass and said, "No,
no." Bad Moody.
I may have enjoyed it. I'm not gonna.
I mean, no shame here. Who wouldn't?
No shame. Who wouldn't?
Gorgeous, gorgeous looking indie game like that spanking your ass. I mean, I've had that dream.
I've
had that dream. Sometimes it's just about who breaks first. And what's funny is we usually break at the same time.
Yeah, for the most part,
yeah. Yeah, so I look forward to that video. I'm making a Dishonored 2 video.
Yeah, you've been talking about that for a while now.
Well, it takes a long time to make these videos. Like, I couldn't even, like, even if I wanted to do, which I thought about doing before, I couldn't even commit to doing, like, one a month.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, they're just too big. They're too big to make. It's going to come out in October. I think I know when it's coming out. But I don't want to say it publicly in case I miss that date. Because I'm also trying to clear up my backlog of highlight videos, like clips. I've still got to do.
Yeah, you're pretty far behind on the highlight videos.
I've got a Phas one, like a full Phasmophobia one. I already said that I was combining August and September into one.
Did you?
One video, yeah, because we didn't stream that much in August and September because I was sick, and you were busy with like new jobs and stuff. And moving, yeah. So I always knew I was combining that, but I also remember I need to get the Pokemon stream and get the part where you were sending me pictures of Pokemon.
Shit, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
And I was obviously giving you my first time reactions to that, so I need to get that bit out. And I don't know if I'm going to do any editing whatsoever on that part, or if I'm just going to take the whole chunk out and just put it on
speed it up.
I'll put it on YouTube.
Chunk out the quiet parts and just speed it up a little bit. Get to the Pokemon faster. That's the only thing I would say.
Oh yeah, like the only bit I'll take is that Pokemon bit, and then the other bits can be used in the normal highlights video.
Because I can still see the Pokemon that I sent to you in the chat.
I need to go and get all those pictures because I need to put those in the video. And it's going to be interesting if you didn't name the Pokemon as you would tell, as you did it. I'm going to have to try and match up these pictures to what Pokemon you were talking about. And it's going to be like, oh shit, this could be an existential nightmare of a video edit. But
it shouldn't be that hard because I do them in order.
Yeah, you do them in order.
The ones I sent you. So.
But what if I'm skipping down and I miss one, and then I'm starting to put the pictures in on the wrong Pokemon, and am I going to notice? Because I don't know anything about these Pokemon.
True.
I'm going to have to go off my description of what I think of this Pokemon. And my descriptions of those Pokemons were pretty unhinged.
They were.
Last thing on the menu, OpenCritic Head-To-Head. This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic average of some cool upcoming games. Last week, we tried to guess... Nope, I've been missing this part out every time. Whoever gets closest to the score, maybe it's because I know I'm not going to win, so I don't care anymore. But whoever gets closest to the score gets a point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. Last week, we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Valkyrie Elysium. I guessed it would get an 82, Moody guessed it would get an 85, and at the time of recording, Valkyrie Elysium has an OpenCritic average of 68, which gives Amy the point and puts the scores to Amy 17, Moody 25, guests 3. The comeback's on. The comeback is on. I can do it if I score points every week until we finish for the year. I can do it. Easy.
Shame you're missing a week, yeah?
Yeah.
Probably next week as well.
We're banking it. It's fine. We're banking them to do some double headers. Have you seen some of the weeks that we've got coming up?
So we're going to do a triple header the week after.
I don't know. I need to look at the calendar. I don't think about that kind of thing until the week is upon me.
Plague's Tale, Gotham Knights, and then News Tales from the Borderlands.
We'll see.
That's triple header, then.
Could be.
The week after, that's Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta.
What was it? What were we calling it? Sex on Boots.
Sex on Boots.
Sex on Boots. Or Sex in High Heels.
That was Sadie.
Yeah. Sadie was saying that, yeah.
All the way back in January.
All the way back in the first episode of this year, if I remember rightly. Because we
think
talked about
our
favourite games.
We did.
Most anticipated.
Our most anticipating games. Because we did Game of the Year, like, really late. Thinking the extra time we could use for games. And neither of us did. Neither of us used that extra time to play games.
We did not. That's true.
So we gave ourselves an extra 3 or 4 weeks because we did like a bunch of different podcasts, and then we were like, we'll be able to catch up on tons of games. And I remember talking to you just before that podcast, and did you play anything really? And I think you played like one thing, and I was like, yeah, I played like a game on the day that we were recording the podcast, and that was it. So we'll probably not do that next year. I guess it just seems pointless. But yeah, like we should get Sadie. See if Sadie wants to come back to do another most anticipated. It's future Amy's problem. Yeah, there's nothing on the docket this week. There's nothing really coming out. I don't trust Overwatch 2 to have scores anytime soon. Technically, I guess you could say it's in early access because like they're supposed to be releasing a single play. It's like Halo Infinite, the single player campaign. It's supposed to be with the multiplayer campaign, and the multiplayer is free and the single player costs money, but they're not releasing it all at the same time. But I don't know. Easier just to avoid it. For OpenCritic.
That's fair.
That's going to do it for episode 323 of the Words About Games podcast. I've been your host, Amy K. Alexander, with my bumblebee and my ladybird, Moody. Do you have any...
Oh, fuck, I forgot the reveal.
Ah, Bulbasaur!
Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur.
I got a Bulbasaur.
He's
helped me throughout this day.
That is a big-ass fucking Bulbasaur, man.
I guess he's like basically the size of what he would be if he was real.
For our audio listeners, Moody just revealed a Bulbasaur that's... quite substantial.
The Funko Pop one.
Much bigger, quite substantial. Yeah. Small, that you're in small to medium sized dog territory there.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Much.
Like I've seen adult dogs smaller than that Bulbasaur. That's awesome.
Little chihuahuas.
Little chihuahua in handbags. Do you have any final thoughts for the podcast apart from? Look at my Bulbasaur.
I have so many around here. Like
you do, it's true.
I do.
Bulbasaur Central. Can you get a Bulbasaur? Can you get a Bulbasaur display?
I fucking wished.
Because it would.
I've looked. Trust me, I've looked.
Because I was going to say, because it would fit right in on that wall.
Really would. It would. I have got some.
Go on.
I have got other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can see some picture frames on the floor.
That's the alien one and the Rocky Balboa one.
I like the Rocky one.
Yeah, because One of my favorite scenes, one of my favorite speeches. But what were you asking?
Do you have any final
have
thoughts?
An awesome week, everybody. Kick butt, be amazing, and high five the sky.
High five the sky.
Yeah.
I thought you said high five to Sky. I was like, who the fuck's Sky?
High five the sky.
High five the sky.